Hi, my name is Dawn.
Hi, my name is Rocco.
And today we're making a chocolate layer cake. This recipe comes to us from epicurious.com and it's a winner. We're making this for Rocco's mom's birthday, which is tomorrow on Halloween. This cake is a great celebration cake and it's easy to make. So, shall we get going?
Yes.
Okay, let's get going. First, let's pull out all our ingredients. We're going to need chocolate both in the cake and in the icing. So I have pulled that out along with our bowls that we're going to put it in, our serrated knife, which we find best for chopping chocolate, and our bench scraper. We're going to need hot brewed coffee, but we drank all our coffee this morning, so Rocco's going to make us some in the Keurig machine. Our sugar, and of course we don't want to forget the scale, which, as you know, we sometimes forget to pull out right away, but we always remember in the end.
Actually, we've cut it out a lot of times.
Yes, that's filming for you. All-purpose flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, table salt, 3 eggs, and you need oil, a vegetable oil. You'll need 3/4 cup, and so I think we're almost out, so we pulled out the new one too. We're going to need 1.5 cups of buttermilk, vanilla. So those are the ingredients that we're going to need for making our cake. For making our frosting, it's a ganache. Now, of course, you can add any frosting to this cake. It's a fantastic cake. It takes on any flavor that you want, but we're going to follow the one in the recipe because, frankly, we love it. It's a ganache, as I said. So for that, we're going to need our chocolate that we've already pulled out, 1 cup of heavy cream. We'll need just 2 tablespoons of our granulated sugar, so we'll leave that out from making the cake. Light corn syrup. We're just going to need 57 grams of our unsalted butter, and I always only have salted, so that's what we're going to use today. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we're going to need some butter for greasing our pans before we put in our batter. And you do not need to decorate this cake, but we are, because it's a birthday cake and we have these Halloween sprinkles that we're going to use today. Okay, so now we're going to rearrange things before we pull out our tools that we need. Other tools that we're going to need. The recipe calls for this to be baked in 2 10-inch by 2-inch pans, and that's what we're going to use. I have those. If not, you can use 9-inch pans, probably 3. But I always follow the recipe, and I have these pans, and we're going to line them with wax paper. You can use parchment as well. Either work perfectly fine. And we're also going to need a bowl and a whisk for our dry ingredients. Okay, let's get going. First thing that we do is we preheat our oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And Rocco's putting the rack in the middle position. So first thing that we have to do is we have to line our pans with our wax paper. You can see how old my wax paper is. I don't use it very often, but it works in this recipe. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So basically you take a piece of wax paper and you put your pan over top, and we'll just trace it. I like to trace it with a paring knife because often I can cut all the way through and then, or just cut what I don't get. So we're going to do that for both our pans. Okay, now that we've cut these out, we now have to grease this, and I'm assuming, Rocco, that I'm going to be doing the greasing, right?
Yeah.
So I saved a little bit of my wax paper, but you can just use your fingers or you can use a little bit of paper towel, and you want to grease the bottoms and sides of your pans, and then you want to put the wax paper in and grease the wax paper. Okay, so now we've done our pans. You could use cooking spray, but this is a really special cake, and the butter is going to add a lot more flavor and taste better. So in our estimation, we think that it's worth this effort to do this. But you do you. So now what we want to do is we're going to chop our chocolate. And we're going to chop our chocolate for both the cake and the icing because, as I've said many times, chopping chocolate is super messy. And while I'm doing that, Rocco's going to brew our coffee. So for the cake, we need 85 grams of the chopped chocolate. And for the cake, we need 1 pound or 454 grams. So first we'll weigh out our chocolate to get our 85 grams, and then we'll chop it. Okay, there's all our chocolate chopped up. for the cake, and then we're going to wait for the coffee, and we're going to pour the coffee over our chocolate. In the meantime, I'm going to keep going and measure out our 454 grams of chocolate for the ganache. Okay, we've chopped all that chocolate. It's really the hardest part of this whole recipe because, as we all know, I feel that chocolate is messy, but it's so yummy, so it's worth it. So anyways, let me clean up. Okay, I've just grabbed a spoon because we're going to have to stir it. So Rocco's made the coffee. We need 1.5 cups, and we're going to pour it over our 85 grams of our chocolate. So go for it, Rocco. And you want your coffee to be hot because we want to melt the chocolate. So what you want to do is you just want to stir it a little bit, and then you want to just stir it occasionally until the chocolate's fully melted, and it will melt very quickly. In the meantime, let's put together our dry ingredients. So Rocco's a little concerned because he doesn't drink coffee, he doesn't like coffee. You do not taste any coffee in this cake. It just brings out all the chocolatey chocolate in the recipe. If you really don't like coffee or want to substitute, you could substitute tea, or you could just use hot water. So for our dry ingredients, we're going to use 600 grams of granulated sugar. We're going to need a little bit more sugar for our ganache, so we'll just put this to the side for now. Rocco's reporting that the chocolate's all melted in the coffee, and we need 320 grams of all-purpose flour. And we need 127 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Yes. And we need 1¼ teaspoon of table salt.
Add the quarter first.
2 teaspoons of baking soda. And 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Now I happen to have a 3/4 teaspoon measure, which is, thinkingly it's odd, but I use it all the time. So if you find one, I say get it. If not, you can just do 3/4. Okay, and now you just want to whisk this so it's all mixed up together. That's now whisked together, and we just put it aside for a few minutes. Now we're going to do a wet ingredient, so grab your mixing bowl. You can do this with an electric mixer or a stand mixer. By hand it's pretty tough, but of course try it if that's what you need to do. So first what we're going to do is we are going to beat our 3 eggs. And using our paddle attachment, we are now going to beat these eggs until light and fluffy. It's probably going to be 3 minutes with a stand mixer, 5 minutes with your electric mixer. Okay, so when it's done, it's going to look a little thicker, but super yellow, pale, and lemony, and that's when you know you're there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add in the rest of our liquid ingredients, and what we're going to do is we're going to very slowly drizzle in our 3/4 cup of vegetable oil while it's beating. Then we're going to do 1.5 cups of our buttermilk, and we're going to shake it really well before we measure. It's important because it separates. Our 3/4 teaspoon of our vanilla extract and our melted chocolate and coffee mixture. So we're going to do that, and once it's all slowly done, we'll make sure it's well incorporated. This is for our ganache. We will not be using it for this. Sorry about that. So now all we do now is we just add this big sugar mixture. I'm going to take our bowl off our stand to do that because ours doesn't lift up. But if yours lifts up, you can get it out. And now what we're going to do is we are going to mix it at medium speed only until combined. You do not want to overbeat this, but you want to make sure it's fully combined. It does not take long. Okay, when it looks like it's well combined, take it off of the, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's well combined. So sometimes the bottom, the mixer will not get that. So once you see that it is very well combined, so now what we do is we just divide the batter between our cake pans, and we're just going to eyeball it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these in the oven for about an hour, hour 10. We'll test them around an hour. We'll keep an eye on them. Okay, Rocco, what we can do is while our cakes are baking, we can make the ganache. Okay, let's grab our ganache ingredients. We have our 454 grams of chopped chocolate. We're going to need 1 cup of our heavy cream. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of our granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of light corn syrup, 57 grams or half a stick of unsalted butter. We're using salted, usual. And then let's grab the tools that we're going to need. We're going to need a medium saucepan. We're going to need our whisk. For measuring our butter, we've grabbed our scale, a plate, a knife, so we can just weigh it out. And a medium to large bowl for cooling off our ganache. Okay, I think that's it. We're ready to go. This comes together super quick. So in our saucepan, we put in our chopped chocolate. One cup of our heavy cream. And you can go all at once. Okay, we just did it wrong, but we're gonna see how this goes because we're in the land of no tomorrow. We were supposed to put the chopped chocolate in the bowl, but we put it in the saucepan. I think this will still work out, but we're gonna be very careful with it. We're gonna do it very slowly and cross our fingers. This might be an easier way to do it if it works out. And 2 tablespoons of our granulated sugar. And now we need 2 tablespoons of our light corn syrup, but we're gonna spray our measuring spoon because it'll make it come out quicker if it's got a little cooking spray on it. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take it to the stove and we're going to, under medium-low heat, just until it's all melted. Okay, we're over here at our stove. And now what we wanna do here is we just wanna keep heating it until everything is melted. Normally you would not have your chocolate in here. And while this is melting, we are going to measure out our 57 grams of butter. So when it looks like that, if you're doing it wrong like us, or yours has come to a boil, we'll take it off the heat. Okay, this is looking actually super glossy and great. So what we do is we now want to chop our butter up into some smaller pieces and whisk it in. So I'll do the chopping and Rocco, you do the whisking. Okay, because we did it wrong, we don't even need our bowl. We can just leave it in our pot, occasionally stirring it, but it's a great consistency. It's going to be super spreadable. This is going to be great. So now we'll just wait for our cakes to be done and we'll see you then. Okay, it's been our hour and 10 minutes and I can smell the cakes for sure. And, oh yeah, they definitely feel firm on the top. Let's try this one. Oh yes, now stick the skewer in, Rocco. Came out perfectly clean. Can you show it to the camera? There we go. So all we do now is we pull them out of our oven and put them on a rack until they're completely cool. And we leave them in the pan when we do that. So we'll see you when they are completely cooled. Okay, our cakes are cooled and we are ready to make our assembled cake. So first thing that we do is we're going to, we'll talk about the icing in just a second, our ganache. So we start with a knife and we pulled our palette knife and I'm gonna show you what to do, Rocco. You just run it all the way around. Make sure it's not gonna stick, and that seemed pretty good. Do you wanna do this one? So now what we're going to do is you'll want to get something to put your cake on. And so we have this, I wanted a 12-inch cake round, which is completely flat, but there was none at the store, so they got this. You can just use a regular plate. Now your cake should be able to be turned out fairly easily.
So good.
So we turned it out, I know, and then just pull off your wax paper.
That's so satisfying.
It is. So I'm actually going to flip this out because I think I want this to be on the bottom. So I just grabbed a plate and I'm just going to flip it over. because the first thing that you want to do is you want to put a little bit of your ganache as glue on the bottom of your plate. So we'll just grab a little bit and we'll spread it down here. And this will help the cake stick to our plate and not go anywhere. And then I'm just gonna shift it off of our dinner plate. So now what we want to do is we're gonna spread a layer of ganache onto our cake. So what we want to do is we're just going to beat it up a bit with our spoon. We want to put a bit of our icing. Now this is super rich, so you do not need a lot of it in every layer. So we'll put a bit here. Is we will take any knife, but I have a bigger palette knife, and you just spread it around. Again, because this is super rich, you want to just have, Rocco, a very thin layer, because otherwise it's just too much.
That looks too thin.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
No, cancel. So what we're doing is we're just putting a super thin layer here between our cakes. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn out this one onto our plate so that we can have it, because if you see, the top is super flat and we want to have that on our top. Plus the ganache will stick less to the top of the cake than to the bottom, which is very crummy and moist, which is delicious for eating but not as easy to ice.
I think I like the bottom.
Doesn't want to come out. Okay, so we finally had success, and we'll pull off our wax paper. So now we'll just push this onto our other cake, and hopefully we got it pretty straight. I think we got it pretty close. And you can still move it. It's still movable if you need to make any adjustments. Okay, so now we have our cake assembled, and all we have to do is ice it. I kind of do a combination of side and top. So I'm gonna show you what we're doing, and Rocco, you can help. In looking at our icing, of course, as you know, we didn't follow the directions, and it is definitely hardened a bit more. So I am going to pop this into the microwave and see if we can soften it a smidge. Okay, so what we did was we popped this in the microwave for 30 seconds at half power. And now it's holding its shape, but it's super smooth and glossy and creamy, and this is what it's supposed to be. So now let's put it on our cake, and look, Rocco, look at how easy it spreads.
That is so much easier.
So that's what we want to do on the top. Are you gonna get ready with the sprinkles for our decorating? So I'm just gonna do the sides next. So what we do here is we just drop it down the side. See that, Rocco? And then you just spread it like that. And that's how we get the side covered. So here's our cake, as we've done. We'll put in a picture, and now we're gonna add some sprinkles. Okay, Rocco, time to decorate with the sprinkles for Mama's birthday. So here we have it. Rocco's mom, Steph's birthday cake. Happy Halloween. Happy birthday. You think she'll like it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna take it to her tonight, and so we'll do the tasting with the birthday girl. Here she is. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mama. So beautiful. Happy birthday to you. Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
It's a double layer cake.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that looks good.
That's your cake.
Okay, Rocco. how does it taste? This is the important thing.
Chocolate.
Do you like it?
Mm-hmm.
We hope you try this recipe, and until next time,
Keep
keep cooking.